So this is what happens when, guess when you either don't know how to build or you have a bad architect or engineer. Jeez. I mean, we had wind, but not that much wind. This happened like a month ago. We had some thunderstorms come through, but I mean, this place isn't even done yet. And, you know, the whole face of the building came up. I did commercial construction back in the 90s. As a general contractor. And, I did metal framing. I did wood framing for a while, and then I got too old to do that. Started doing commercial construction. Something's not right here. I mean, this facade, which is metal framing, and then plywood, and all that. It's attached to the iron frame, the steel frame, not iron, steel, and it's not attached right. I mean, which is most likely the architect's fault, or the engineer or whatever, whoever came up with a way to attach this facade. I mean, that's how buildings are built nowadays. There's a steel frame, usually not buildings this small, but it's understandable. I mean, this is going to be a gas station, obviously a rather large one, and they've been working on this for a couple of years. I think the guys doing it with cash because they do a little bit, and then it stops around, nothing's done, then they do a little bit, so a lot of guys do that, especially in commercial, smaller projects like this, they'll do it with cash. If they get more money, they do more. But anyway, so this facade wasn't on here very long, and then they got some stone veneer also. And then we had those thunderstorms come through. I mean, there's a few trees knocked over here and there, and some branches down and stuff. Maybe we had 60-mile-an-hour winds. I don't know, but this shouldn't have happened anyway. This steel framing, this metal framing here. This is just light gauge metal framing. The way it was attached to the steel frame was not either the contractor. There was no detail. The contractor just did it the way he thought, or it was engineered or designed some certain way. The contractor didn't follow it, or it was designed some certain way, but it wasn't. It was poorly designed. I mean, look at this hole. This is it's stucco. It's EIFS, which is it's like stucco over foam. It's not like real stucco. But it was just common in commercial because it's cheaper and whatever. It's called EIFS. Stands for, I forgot what it stands for. Something insulated foam system. Exterior insulated foam system. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, yeah, so this whole thing, so the wind probably came from behind, and there's, as you can see, there's a little parapet wall, which is a wall that extends above a roof. That's called a parapet. But it's not that far above the roof line. I mean, what is it, maybe 3 feet? Or 2 or 3 feet? It's not very much. And so there's not much for the wind to grab onto. So this shouldn't have, it's not like there was a giant parapet wall and there was a lot of area of the wall for the wind to grab onto. But I'm sure the wind came from behind, hit the top of that parapet, and just tore the whole thing off. I mean, it's just really, ridiculous. Here's the stone veneer. Here's the tape measure. Anyway, stone veneer all over the place. I mean, this is bad. This is really bad. Somebody really screwed up. So now nothing's been done. This is maybe even more than a month, maybe a month and a half. It's been a while. I drive by it every now and then when I'm going into town. But this is the first time I've stopped and actually looked at it. But I knew right away that what was up, basically. Now I suppose there's all kinds of finger pointing and suing. Contractors point at the engineer, engineers point at the architect, architects point at the engineer, blah blah blah, and they're gonna sit there and fight it out. Get a bunch of lawyers are gonna get paid, and they'll come to a conclusion at the end. So anyway, this is just lame. This is plain lame. I mean, come on. Jeez, man, it's not that complicated to attach this facade to the steel frame. I mean, even if I didn't have a detail showing me how to do it, I mean, I would figure it out. This is a lot of weight. I mean, all this stucco board and all this, and then it's covered with plywood. And well, they used OSB, which is unusual, and usually in commercial they use plywood. I think this guy, like I say, he's building with cash, whoever's building this thing, and they just did it on the cheap. Maybe even they use a cheap contractor. I don't know. But I mean, all this glass and all this stone, it's heavy, right? So you can't. And this light gauge framing, I mean, it's light. It's, I don't know, is it 25 gauge? I don't remember anymore. It's been so long. I did this for about a year after I put wood framing because this was a little easier on my back. And then after a while, I'm like, okay, I don't want to keep doing this. But I mean, this it's like sheet metal. I mean, it's not, right? So if you're going to attach that and then you're going to be hanging all this weight, I mean, you really need to attach it really well, not just, well, whatever they did. I can't even look at what's here, and I don't want to go inside because I never want to be well, this is probably technically trespassing anyway, but I mean, I don't want to, it's not real for safety reasons. I mean, this has been sitting like this for over a month now. I don't think anything additional is going to fall, but I just don't want to go inside because it's if somebody saw me, it would be upsetting, I'm sure. And for insurance purposes anyway, for them. So anyway, yeah, I mean, so I don't know what happened here. I can't even see how they would have attached this. Like, I can't say, oh, I see what they did. There's like nothing here. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to see. I can't see anything down here. You can see like maybe behind where they attached it. It looks like I see a little piece of metal framing there. It's really bad. I mean, my God. What are people thinking? Yeah, see, I can't really tell what method they use to attach this. I really can't see. Yeah, I don't know what the heck they did. It's just amazing. Anyway, just wanted to show what happens when you don't know what you're doing. I mean, I'm always really, really anal about stuff. When I'm doing something, I don't know. I always think about it. I just tend to overkill stuff. If there isn't, like when I was a commercial framer, right? So I did commercial framing. It's stuff that's much bigger, even more complicated than this. And back in the 90s and 80s and late 70s when I started, there wasn't as much metal framing. Metal frame started coming heavy in the 90s, but not super heavy. But anyway, so a lot of stuff was wood frame. But I mean, I was always overkilling stuff, and if there was a detail and I didn't like it, I would tell the general contractor, because I was a framing subcontractor, so I'd tell the general contractor and try to get an RFI, which is a request for information from the architect. That's how it works in commercial. If you're not sure about something, if there's something on the plans that isn't showing or isn't right or whatever, you just do well, back then it was done with fax machines or phone calls. Anyway, it was called an RFI, request for information. And I'd done that often. I'm like, this doesn't look right. Why don't you call the architect and whatever, right? Or this looks like overkill or whatever. But I mean, some people just, whether it's residential or, anything, I mean, they just go through life with, I don't know, blinders on, or I don't know, they're working and thinking about girls or what the heck they're doing. It's just like, geez, man. I mean, like my friend's new in home building, so he wanted to get started in it. He works a full-time job, but for one of my suppliers that I buy stuff from. But anyway, so he got a home building and a second home, and he's building it in the subdivision that I'm building, because I told him about the subdivision I'm building in. And then he has these framers. Now he used plans that didn't have any details about beam sizes and all that. So they would use like two 2x12s to span like this really long space, because the framers, there was no detail, so the framers just would grab a couple of 2x12s, and then you'd have like roof load on it, and these big ceilings and all this stuff hanging off of it. And I'm like, so I went in there and I'm like, golly, your framers don't know what they're doing. You need this size beam here at least, or that size beam, or whatever. Of course, he had to go back, and the framers did come back and do it, and they didn't charge him. And I was there when the lead framer was there, and I was kind of not really making fun at him, but just letting him know that, what an idiot. You don't just like grab two 2x12s and think you can like pick up all this load with it. You need a glue lamp beam or a micro lam or something. And these experienced framers, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, some people say, I've been doing this for 30 years, and I look at them and I go, well, you've been doing it wrong for 30 years because this is how you should do it. Whether it's, I don't know, framing or anything, you know. So, I mean, I just look at stuff, and you know, that's how I learned, by just doing. Nobody taught me anything. I just started building when I was a kid, and I started framing company. I never framed before, and then I can do that. I just figure out, but I mean, I have common sense, right? So this is what happens when, I mean, this is a big screw up. If I was doing this metal framing, for example, and there was no detail for this, first thing I'd have done is call the guy and say, hey, I need a request for information from an architect. I need a design that's going to hold this facade onto this building, because whatever's there or isn't there on the plans, they ain't gonna cut it. I mean, you can't just, you know. Anyway, I just thought I'd take a recording of this and just let you know what happens when people don't know what they're doing. It happens, so be careful out there. And if you're getting into the trades, I mean, you just got to be thinking about what you're doing all the time. You got to think about how what you do affects the trades that come after you, which is having an understanding of the trades, especially structural stuff like this. How long is it gonna last? How is water gonna flow? Is this gonna pitch right? You know, all these different things. I can't think of everything right now, but I mean, you just gotta like think about stuff. You gotta use your head. I mean, you know, it's not rocket science. I mean, we're not building the Mir space station, but you know, there's all kinds of stuff that happens. There's a lot of bad stuff that happens. People do stuff, and then, especially these flippers, they come and flip these houses. They do everything really crappy, and then 5 years later, the owner's replacing all this stuff because they didn't do this right or that right, or you know, whatever. So anyway, just always try to do stuff the best you can. Think about what you're doing. That's how you teach yourself. Think about what you're doing. Look at what other people have done. When you're tearing stuff apart, look how they put it together, especially if it's done really well. And remember how they did it. Do it that way. You know, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I mean, if you're getting into these kind of projects, you got to really know what you're doing. You know, I mean, but anyway, yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, I'm gonna go to work. So I just thought I don't know. I've been driving by, I wanted to see it up close, and then I was like, yeah, I'll record it, throw it on YouTube, and maybe somebody will learn something. All right, back to work.